In this video, I'm going to show you how to place the front struts on this Hyundai Sonata. They sit right behind your front wheel and hold up the front end of the vehicle. I always recommend replacing these in pairs so that the vehicle can ride evenly and perform an alignment after this repair is done. Let's get started. Use a 21mm socket, remove all 5 lug nuts, and then we can pull the wheel off. Just a little note, if yours has hubcaps, when you take the lug nuts off, the hubcap is going to want to come off, so take that off first, then the wheel. Let's disconnect the sway bar link at the top, use a 17mm socket, and remove the mounting nut holding it on to the strut fork. Sometimes it's necessary to hold the back. There's a cutout for a wrench. You can use a 17mm wrench if that's the case, but hopefully for you it comes right off. Pull the sway bar link out, set it aside. And right on top here, there's a 12mm bolt holding on the brake hose. This is one of the few that we have to remove. Let's take that off. Move that to the side. On the knuckle right here, you'll see 2 more 12mm bolts. Let's remove both, starting with this one. And the reason for that is because this is actually a bracket clamped onto a bracket. And we need to do that so that we can separate both of these and get plenty of slack out of them. You don't want to pull on the ABS cable or the brake hose. For some more slack on the body of the vehicle, you'll see the ABS wire held on with this bracket. Also a 12mm bolt. Loosen that up. Take the bracket off. Where the strut meets the strut fork, you'll see that right back here is a 17mm headed bolt. This actually pinches the fork right here to close it off. It's called a pinch bolt. So let's remove this. Be careful when you do this because you don't want to break it. Oftentimes, because there's a split right on the back, they seize up due to rust and, well, they can break. So spray it with rust penetrant, work it back and forth if needed. There it is. Since these can be in such poor condition after a while, inspect it, and if it looks like it's worn out here from the rust and thin, definitely replace it. Make sure it's the proper grade bolt so that it can clamp on properly. But if yours is still good, reuse it. Looking a little bit further down, you'll see the bolt that holds the strut fork onto the control arm. This is a 19mm headed nut. The bolt is also a 19mm headed bolt, so take a wrench and a socket and loosen all this up and we'll drive the bolt out. The bolt spins, which is great. Sometimes they get seized in there. Punch the bolt out. Now let's separate the strut from the strut fork. Take a hammer, and while you wiggle this, tap this down. Just like that. If you pull down on the knuckle, it should give you a little bit more clearance. Separate these two. At this point, you could even remove this so you can clean it up, inspect it, and even create more space for you to work. Under the hood, you'll see the strut tower and the strut, which is held on with 3 14mm mounting nuts. Let's unbolt all 3. On the last mounting nut, I'm going to hold the strut, that way it doesn't fall down. Slowly remove it, and there it is. Take the new strut and put it up in position. Line it up. Once it pokes through, have at least one mounting nut ready so you can secure it. That way it won't fall out. Install the rest of the mounting nuts. There we go. These new ones are going to be 15mm in size, so let's snug them all down. It is important to wait to torque these until the vehicle is on the ground, so with the wheel on, the weight will push the strut all the way up in position, and then we'll be able to finalize this. For now, we'll just leave it at this since it is nice and snug. Let's get this strut fork back in. I put some anti-seize, not just on the fork, but also on the strut. That's going to prevent them from seizing on in the future. There we go. Make sure you don't pinch any of these wires. Tap this fork upwards to seat it on the strut. You want to make sure it goes all the way up till it's bottomed out. Let's install the pinch bolt, slide it through, start it on by hand to make sure it doesn't cross thread, bottom it out. The torque on this pinch bolt is 55 foot-pounds. There we go. It is normal for it to feel like it's going to keep going after it feels tight, but that's because it's actually squishing the metal together and pinching this fork. So once your torque wrench clicks or beeps, stop right there. Pry down on the knuckle. Try to line up the strut fork with the lower control arm. Once you have it lined up, put the bolt through. All right, thread on the mounting nut, but don't tighten everything yet. This needs to be torqued at right height. So let's put some pressure on the lower control arm, push it up at approximately right height where it's almost parallel with the ground, then we can fully tighten this. I have a jack here with a piece of rubber so I don't damage the control arm. I'm gonna raise this up a little bit, approximately at right height. That's gonna put this bushing in a spot where it's not going to be under tension if we tighten it as the vehicle is driving down the road. Snug this up. 110 foot-pounds for this bolt. Now lower your support. Let's get the sway bar link reattached. Start on the mounting nut. Tighten it up. If needed, hold the back side of the stud so it doesn't spin. Torque this mounting nut to 87 foot-pounds. All right. Reattach this brake hose bracket. Snug that little bolt up. Let's get these brackets reattached. There's a little bracket that has a threaded insert on one side. That's going to go over the brake hose bracket. Get this bolt through and reattach that. Make sure that it stays lined up. Snug that up. And then right over here goes the ABS wire bracket with another little 12mm bolt. All right, so this is all secured. Lastly, get this bracket bolted back onto the body of the vehicle. Let's get the wheel back on. If your wheels had hubcaps, you're going to want to put them on now because the lug nuts go over and clamp everything together. Just make sure you line up the cutout for the valve stem with the valve stem, of course, otherwise it won't fit on properly. And now start in all 5 of your lug nuts. We'll bottom them out and torque them to 79 foot-pounds in a cross pattern to seat the wheel properly. Once again, 79 foot-pounds in a cross pattern. Double check them. Now that the vehicle's on the ground and weight is pushing the strut up, torque these to 43 foot-pounds. Double check them. At this point, take it for a road test and don't forget to get in alignment.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.